I want to talk about exposure because it's something that took me a while to fully wrap my head around when I first started with photography. People told me that you want to expose your photo correctly, but I didn't really understand what that meant. So I'm going to assume that you already know the relationship between aperture, shutter speed, and ISO. Instead, we'll talk about how to get the most out of your camera. We were shooting on the 5D Mark IV and the iPhone XS, and they both want to be exposed a little bit differently. And before I even go through these examples, I'll just tell you what I'm talking about here. You want to expose for your highlights. Underexposing can get you a bit more dynamic range. You might already know about this. So if you do, you can stop watching right now if you want, but I'm going to go into some specific examples of how it works. We're going to look at some different results. And just like there's 3 variables to change your exposure, there's 3 types of image quality we're optimizing here. Once your subject looks okay, you want to start looking at the background. And the most common issue I find is having it be blown out, overexposed, just completely losing detail. So we're going to try to hold on to that as much as possible. And then there's the introduction of noise. That usually happens in the shadows or darker parts of the image as you try to raise them up. And then finally, we want to maintain a natural contrast ratio so that it doesn't look too HDR. We're going to see some examples where I push it a bit too far here, but in the end, we're looking for a more balanced look so people aren't thinking about the processing that you did to your image. And the important thing I want to get across here isn't just showing what my camera does, it's showing you what to look for in your photos, because you should go out and shoot these samples yourself. And this video is sponsored by Luminar, which I really enjoyed diving deeper into. It's got a bunch of cool features that we're going to explore. That's what we're going to be using to go through all the photos here. So let's start looking at some examples here. As the sun went down, we had pretty perfect lighting at this moment. You can see that everything's pretty easily exposed. It kind of looks like you might have blown out, or I might have blown out the detail in the highlights a bit here, but if we drag this down, you can see that there's nothing lost actually, nothing's actually clipped. So these are just about right. You know, in the end, we're just gonna end up adjusting these and adding filters and whatever, and they're gonna look fine. This is the kind of image you don't have to worry about where the sun is full on, everything is lit the same. But now we can see the light actually going down and it's getting dark. When the light starts getting darker like this, you want to make sure you're exposing it exactly right, because once you're editing it afterwards, even if you're shooting raw, it starts introducing noise and artifacting, so you want to get it just right. So now we need to start worrying about the ISO and the amount of noise creeping into our image. Obviously, the ISO needs to turn up so that we're not getting any motion blur. You can see everything's still very sharp in the image, but even with the denoise turned off, we don't need any denoising and it's still completely clean. Let's zoom into 600%. There's still really minimal noise. And this is shot at ISO 1600. I recommend taking your camera out and find that ISO level where you're comfortable with the noise. This is where I like the 5D to be. I shoot the A7 III the same way. Same with the A7R II. A lot of these bigger sensors, 1600 is where I try to cut it off. But you might have different tolerances or different expectations of your photos, so go find what works for you personally. And by the way, this is like the perfect lighting. It's amazing. It's the very end of it. And this is just after sunset and only lasts for like 15 minutes to half an hour, and it doesn't happen every day. So I think we got lucky today. Didn't it work out good on you? So good. Now let's go look at the most challenging example. Those first ones were pretty evenly lit, but these ones are going to be a little bit harder. So we're in about the worst lighting environment possible, the middle of the day. The sun's almost directly overhead, but this isn't a video about lighting, it's about exposure. So this is how you kind of work with this scenario. We're going to be shooting Anya a bit backlit over here. And the challenge when it's backlit is you want to maintain enough dynamic range that you still see what's going on behind the subject and they are lit reasonably well. So we're shooting raw on a Canon 5D. You only want to do this shooting raw. If you're shooting JPEG, you won't have enough detail to recover it. This only works in raw settings. And you're going to underexpose by 1 to 2 stops. And the reason you're underexposing is that when you overexpose, you can't really pull back that highlight detail. But if you underexpose, you can lift it up, and the shadows have a lot of information there. There's just some noise. Fortunately, it's the middle of the day, so we're shooting around ISO 100, which is kind of fine. There's not gonna be that much noise. If you're in a situation where you've had to turn the ISO up, like it's at 1600, this isn't gonna work great because you're gonna start getting really gross, muddy shadows. Then if we look at the same kind of photo on an iPhone, you'll see it's doing a lot of this automatically. It's basically going through these same steps without shooting raw. It can do it all internally inside the phone before you even take the photo. Here's an example that's completely backlit, and I've kind of exposed for the truck in the foreground here. It looks kind of like it should. That's exposed correctly. If this was the whole photo zoomed in like this, that would be correct exposure. But correct isn't always correct because now the sky is gone, and you can see that if I drag my exposure slider all the way down, or my highlight slider, the sky is not really there. Like you sort of can't save that whole area. It has clipped, it is gone, there is no detail. So let's take a look at something that saves it a little bit more appropriately. Now, if we look at this example, it's exposed about 2 stops under. It is definitely too dark, but if we bring the shadows up, that's all saved fine. And since I'm shooting this, I think this is at ISO 100, maybe 400. It's still all there. I can bring my highlights down, and now I have all of the sky. I have all of the shadows, and I've got this really balanced look. If I'm not careful, it could become a little too HDR if I like push it over the limit, but you can also find somewhere in between where you still have sky and you still have some contrast. A new feature that Luminar wanted me to mention and that I have been loving since I tried it is the new Accent AI filter 2.0. So they have updated it where it's going to do a lot of this stuff intelligently. So I can just kind of crank it up, and like at 100%, it's just starting to hit that HDR look. But if I dial this back to like 50%, it just cleans it right up. Like this looks very balanced. And I really like it. It's doing things like detecting the subject of the frame. If there's humans in it, it sees them and it sees skies and it treats them all differently and optimizes for all of them. So it's just a really quick and easy way to like balance out your whole photo. And not only is Luminar a super easy way to get professional quality out of your images, it's also priced really competitively. So go to skylum.com/Luminar and check out what they have to offer. There's a link in the description below. I'm really impressed, and I'd find it easy to recommend this to anybody that loves their photography. And now let's look at some examples shooting with a modern mobile phone, because it is different. I'm using an iPhone XS in this, and you probably have heard about Smart HDR. Smart HDR is doing a lot of the stuff that we already talked about. So this example, this is an iPhone photo, and to get those same results, this is kind of what I would have done, is expose this sky and everything quite a bit darker on the 5D, and then I'd bring the exposure up a bit, I'd bring the shadows up a bit, highlights down a little bit, and kind of by pushing all this stuff around, I can find a balance that gives me the proper balance of exposure. But what's really been incredible about iPhones lately is that's just where they arrive right away. Like this is no adjustments. I don't think this would need anything done to it. And all I had to do to get this exposure is tap the sky when I was taking the photo. And the iPhone just knows how to balance everything the way that I'm doing it here on the computer. And that doesn't always work on a bigger camera. So if we look at this example where I kind of exposed for the trailer or the trees maybe, it seems reasonable. The sky does lose quite a bit of detail, and even if I bring it all the way down, when you zoom in, you can see that it just never fully recovers. There's parts that are blown out here, and I do not like that look. So even though that seems properly exposed, I would actually consider this image to be overexposed because the sky is just getting lost. All right, time to get another perspective of this beautiful scenery. Just flip through these balloon photos, see what we got. And for the most part, I mean, the light's pretty even. I wouldn't need to massively change most of these. They look great. And here's a comparison. So we can see an iPhone photo and a 5D photo next to each other. A large format sensor is going to do a much better job all the time. It's just this computational photography that allows the smaller sensors to do better. And if we ever get computational photography in camera on a big camera, it's gonna blow away the iPhone or any other mobile phone. That just hasn't happened yet, so I don't know. We're all looking forward to it. Sometimes if you're trying to get correct exposure for everything in the photo, you can end up exposing for nothing in the photo. So let's look at an example of that. You can see that if this horse was much brighter, it would start to be too bright pretty quickly. Like if we just saw all those shadows in the background, it would be blown out. Like there's too much contrast in the image for everything to be exposed correctly. So what we're gonna do in post is, bring back what we can, bring back a bunch of those shadows, bring down the highlights a bit. We wanna maintain some contrast. We don't want this to feel too fake. And I'm just gonna keep moving these around until it feels like reasonable balance to me. Still a little overdone, there we go. And it's amazing what can be hiding in the shadows there sometimes. Don't bring them out too far, just find somewhere a little bit in between that reveals some of the, I'd still call this too far, I'm gonna bring it back down a bit. Like you just wanna know what's going on back there, and so much more can happen in your photography just by giving it that boost. And when you're shooting the original photo, as long as it's in RAW, you don't have to be afraid to be able to lift that later in post. Thanks again for watching, guys, and thanks again to Luminar for supporting the show. They have an update 3.1, which has brand new Accent AI features. If you've still got questions about cameras and ISO, you should go to stallmanpodcast.com. That's manpodcast.com. I bring on photographers and YouTubers and we talk about exactly this, but in way more depth. Thanks guys, and I'll see you in the next video.